We're back and welcome to another Season 9 competitive win guide. This guides on how to win on Paraiso competitive. Now, one thing to note on this map, the checkpoint 1 isn't great for lower elo and you're likely going to lose this checkpoint, especially if your tank isn't good or supports are not healing the tank. What you want to do is be able to realize this and fall back to try best defend without these things, as you will see in this gameplay. Now, if you're ever slightly late to this checkpoint, you want to play this area, but as soon as you see or hear a widow shooting, drop back. Always shoot the wall railing for a better view on the enemies. We see the tracer, and in this scenario we know we have a few seconds to do damage to the tank before we need to move to the checkpoint to defend versus the tracer. As soon as the tracer disappears, you want to look to do damage to the rest of the enemies again. Our Doom dies early, and once your tank dies, you want to fall back as far as you can to where your tank will first rejoin you. You also want to fall back to a position where you can still do damage and defend this checkpoint, which is in this area. Always ping your flankers as it just helps out your allies. Here we're fighting two DPS flankers with no ally support. You want to do your best to space from them while doing as much damage as possible to them. Now, if enemy does grab checkpoint 1 early, you want to play checkpoint 2 where your team has decided to station the defense. This angle here gives you sights on 3 entrances: the main push, the top door and middle entrance. We're able to see both Genji and Tracer here and able to shoot them to make them fall back. Again, you want to be breaking the railing as they will get in the way of your shots. A quick peek here on this angle to see the enemy movement and fall back again. This angle here is mainly to see whether enemies are flanking, or if the enemy is pushed back, you can do damage from this area. Now, we know we need to fall back as we don't see any of the DPSs and we know the enemy is playing 2 DPS divers. This is another good high ground spot. Just be sure to use cover when the Ana faces you, as you don't want to get dart slept. On top of this, we know the Genji can wall climb, which he does, and it's an easy slide away for us to reposition. We just saw the Genji use dash, so we have a window to try and pick him off. And as a DPS, you want to be aware of enemy cooldowns and when you have a window to kill them. Here we're utilizing the most damage output we can do, dropping our abilities on grouped enemies on the payload. As soon as you see the Genji dash, you want to reposition via sliding away for space. Now, if you're having trouble versus Genji, you usually want to go a hero that can reposition away from him. So Ashe would be fine, Sojourn is fine too, even Tracer, you can double blink away, recall if you need to. Someone like Soldier 76 isn't as good because he can't move away with one ability. He has to run all the way back once Genji has dived him. Now, once the payload has pushed up to this position, you want to be playing this area of the map's high ground. This is a great vantage point to get off shots, do a lot of damage, and you can fall back as well, and you have many options to rejoin your team. So the enemy manages to push up close to the checkpoint. This is a good time to ult as the enemy is really close to taking the checkpoint and they have not seen us as we're rejoining the fight back from respawn. So this is a perfect time to ult and we managed to get a few kills. Now, you should know when you're able to chase down an enemy. So we have 3 dead here. One of them is the tank. This is a completely fine time to chase down the enemy, and you want to do this as it will take the enemies even longer to full group as they have to wait for their Zenyatta to spawn. Once again, the Genji has his ultimate. We're waiting for him to dive us. As soon as he dives us, we're going to space away with our slide. And the Genji does not know what to do after this and ends up dying to the Pharah ultimate. Here, another thing as a DPS you should be paying attention to is the enemy cooldowns. We know the Tracer has just recalled. She's used 2 of her blinks, so this is a perfect time to dive her. We slide in and we manage to clean up the kill. Unfortunately, once again, our tank over positions and dies. Also gets our second DPS kill too, and they're able to take checkpoint 2 thanks to this. So tank is semi-trolling, dying for no reason, but these games are still winnable if you play them well and know what you're doing on your DPS role. Here we're on an off angle. There's 2 enemies focused on me, so we look to switch up our angle again. No one on this angle, so we instantly move back to the off angle. Now, at the final 10 seconds of the game, you want to be playing with your team more. more, and in rare occasions you can stay solo if you have a really good vantage point. We do have a really good vantage point here, but the Baptiste does flank us, so this is why being with the team in the final 10 seconds is really good. We just lose out on the 1v1 as the Baptiste flanks us and does damage before we even see him, but we got the focus of their support. We managed to defend around here about halfway into checkpoint 2. Now, as we mentioned earlier, it is hard to defend checkpoint 1. Knowing this, you do not want to play bad, you still want to play good. So we post-nade the top peaking spot for ult charge, but on top of this, the animation also makes the enemy screen slightly more unclear to land their shot. We push up a bit, covered while shooting, making sure our allies are not getting flanked. The tracer falls back, so we push up a bit. You always want to know your damage, so we know a full railgun headshot will one-shot the tracer. So we take extra time with the shot and we manage to hit the headshot. The whole team swarms the checkpoint and it's a pretty easy cleanup once they have no tracer. As soon as we capture, again, always looking to do damage, which allows us to get a pick on an overextended support. Even if we were to die here, our location is super close to spawn, so it really doesn't matter too much. Grouping with the team again, as no quick access to off angles available. Once again, playing high ground, focusing the Sigma as he's in open area and there's no supports around him. Now, you always want to secure the payload yourself, especially in lower elo, so always keep this in mind as you may get unlucky where all players decide to leave the payload and it does not reach the checkpoint. As soon as we get back into the fight, you want to do damage. Now, you can actually get stuck on the side of this payload, so keep that in mind as we get stuck twice. The game's super close to ending. You want to stick with the team at the closing stages of the game and try to push it in. Now, in this scenario, you're better off doing damage to the backline and ignoring their tank, as the damage done to him before you die would not be more useful than the damage done to the backline. My allies managed to secure the payload push to get the victory. Hopefully these tips helped. Leave a like and comment if they did, and see you in the next one.